Good morning. Welcome to Tuesdays with Kamira. I am here this morning with Janice Saunders, and we're going to be talking about healthy habits, weaving healthy habits into families. We all know it's important, but we also know it's hard. So she's going to help us get there and be gentle with ourselves as we're trying to do it. If you are joining us today, Tuesday, 10:30 a.m. live, you know the drill. We're live 10:30 a.m. Eastern time, and we'd love to take your comments and questions. If you have any, just type them in the comment section. I'll be looking there for them and we'll post them, and Janice will address them live on air. If you are watching a replay, she won't be available to do that, but you should still put your questions or comments in the comment section because you can dialogue with other people who are watching replays. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate the time that you're taking to listen to us today. Okay. We know that modeling healthy behavior for children is important. We know that having healthy parents is important, and there's a domino effect in the family. But all of that is easier said than done, right? Especially after 2 years in a pandemic. So I don't know about the rest of you guys out there, but I know it's time for me to have a healthy lifestyle fresh start. Janice is here to help us with that. Thank you for joining us today, Janice. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Kamira, for inviting me today. I am Janice Saunders, and I'm a career pharmaceutical account manager, and I'm also the creator of the Seasonal Healthy Habits Collective. And I started the Seasonal Healthy Habits Collective during the pandemic, just for those reasons, because we've kind of got out of our healthy habits, and we need to know how to get back to our healthy habits. And as a certified professional life coach, I've been coaching people for many years, but this was the first time I decided to embark on a group membership of women who've kind of got out of their healthy habits. And we've all been there. I mean, we've been stuck in the house. We have new routines, children at home, and the how kind of shifted. We used to go out to do a lot of things. Now the how is how are we doing them at home? And there are several ways that I've been coaching women to get back into the swing of things. I mean, there is a serious problem with cardiovascular disease. I mean, it is the killer of 1 in 3 women. And we want to make sure that we are staying on top of our health. And one of the ways we can do that is by, number one, being intentional, putting it on your schedule. You may be in a million things, but if you don't have putting yourself on your schedule intentionally, it's not going to get done. How do you feel? How's that landing for you? You're a busy mom. You got to be intentional, right?
Right. She's making a comment to our pregame too, because I kind of slid into our pregame after doing a couple of other things this morning, like most of you who are watching this. If it doesn't get written down, it doesn't happen for me. And writing down can be either on my phone or in a paper planner, but it really doesn't happen. And I'm surprised when I take a break from those and I go back to it and I see how many things didn't happen because I didn't pay attention to that. So yeah, I agree. You said that you coach this. What does that look like? How does it work?
Coaching, well, in the Seasonal Healthy Habits Collective is a membership and we meet online. But each month, well, let's just step back. There are 4 seasons in the year. There's winter, which we're in right now. And each season is kind of connected to an organ system. And that organ system is connected to, different foods. And what you do in the winter to keep yourself healthy is not going to be the same as what you do in the summer or spring or fall even. The foods are different. The amount of activity that you do outside, where you do your activity is different. Even the types of activity that you get involved in is different. And so that's kind of how the seasonal element is. I've been involved in seasonal living for many decades. I enjoy the change of the seasons, and it is, it's a fresh start each season to, do new things, try new things, and experiment with new tools, which is what we do in the collective.
So this reminds me of, I heard from a doctor once that exercise, she's specifically speaking about exercise, that you should change your exercise routine probably about once a quarter, if not once a quarter, at least twice a year, because they get stale. And that's why people fall off. And it's not the person and it's not your commitment to exercise, but it's actually something that we are hardwired to need a change, a fresh start.
I love that. I completely love that idea. And another one of the reasons why people fall off the routines is that they're routines that they don't enjoy. They're routines that other people told you that you should do. And what is great about the Seasonal Healthy Habits Collective and any place is that you can figure out how to do routines that work for you. For example, we've got women in the group, some ride bike, some hike. I swim. I walk and jog. Some people don't walk and jog. Some people, do more core exercise. Every person has to find their way to what makes them feel healthy, because my routine is not going to work for everyone. So and I agree. I do switch off every season. I do something different completely.
Tell us what you do for the seasons.
Well, for the winter, I swim because it's an indoor event. And I don't swim outdoors in the summer. I'll go to the beach and relax at the pools. But in the summer, I do more walking. And I also do an exercise called sandwiching, which is when you put an activity with something you always do. So for example, when you take a shower, do you do sit-ups before you take a shower? That's sandwiching an activity. Before you brush your teeth, do you do light weights? That's sandwiching an activity with something that you do all the time. And we, women of a certain age, which I am in my 50s, we need to do light weights for exercise. We need to do balance work so that we don't fall. And we need to do strength work so that we remain strong. And I kind of sandwich those activities with things that I do all the time so that I get them in. The value for me is not in the intensity of what I'm doing. The value can be in the consistency, because I very rarely don't do these activities. I just put them exactly with what I do. And this is what I'm teaching in the collective. And what's interesting is that there are people doing research about these very activities. I've been doing sandwiching since the 90s. And during the pandemic, listening to different podcasts, reading different books, I learned of a woman, and her name is Katie Milkman, and she wrote a book called How to Change and the Science of Getting from Where You Are to Where You Want to Be. And the things I'm doing, she actually studied them, and they have names for them, like temptation bundling and sandwiching. But I just came to them on my own so that I could stick with my routines. And they really do help. But she actually has studied a lot of these different tools.
Oh, wonderful. What's her name again?
Her name is Katie Milkman. And her book is called How to Change. And she's at the University of Pennsylvania. She's an economist.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I love what you said, that the value is in the consistency and the intensity.
Not the intensity.
The consistency, not the intensity.
Yes.
And then you spoke about sandwiching, which is great, because you can get your minutes and your stuff in when you sandwich your activities. It doesn't all have to be done in one big gym session.
I saw you smile. Are you thinking about what you can sandwich?
I'm thinking about what I can sandwich. And then I was also thinking that perhaps we need to move away from tracking everything on these smartwatches, because sandwiching on the smartwatches would drive you crazy, because you'll be touching and just do it. Just be good to your body.
I hear you. The smartwatches are great because they can track your activity.
Mm,
They give you a chance. Hey, I really did all of these things. Like last night, our collective meets on Monday nights. One of the women said, I looked at my watch and I realized that I had exercised 4 times a week for the entire month of winter, for the entire season of winter. That was her. We start off the winter season with some goals, not all health related. Some are, some aren't, but this one just happened to be. And her word for the year was consistency. I want to get consistent. And she said this was the first time she had been able to get consistent
mhm,
in something. So that was a real win, because a lot of times we do fall off.
mhm,
And just a little win like that can get you to what the next part of what you're doing. Maybe you want to lose weight then or something like that. You got to keep laddering up because it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen overnight. I started this whole thing because kept getting numbers that were pre-diabetic,
mhm,
and I'm not overweight. I eat right. And I was like, what is going on here? I wasn't moving enough. And I swim. So I had to add in.
okay.
And I did. I added in and it took a year to get the numbers where my doctor was like, okay, now we're home free. Just keep doing what you're doing. But
Yeah.
it takes a minute and some patience
Mhm,
to work with your physician and to add these things into your life so that you start saying, hey, I really do see a benefit from this. I feel good. I like what I'm doing, and my numbers are getting better.
mhm,
I mean, that's the goal, is for you to feel better and have a real change in your health,
mhm,
and your family sees you doing it, and you want to communicate to them what's important to you through your actions. And that's a real family value here in my house. It's, hey, my health is important and I'm prioritizing these things. So we're going to have to work around, figure out some workarounds for everybody. And it's been working out. But one thing is communicating what I need. And that is a healthy habit.
Oh, I love that. So we're establishing a family value around health.
Yeah.
And then communicating what you need to your family is a healthy habit. So
Yes.
I love that because we think of nutrition and we think of moving our bodies, but there are other ways to be healthy and to help your family understand that this is for you and for them. Um,
Absolutely.
what are other examples of the ripple effect for a family? If the primary caregivers, the parents, in this case, we're talking women because it's
Mhm.
largely the mothers. What are the other ripple effects if she is taking care of herself and really participating in these healthy, seasonal healthy habits?
I mean, if I'm just going to think about my personal life,
Okay.
I have a aging parents.
Mhm.
I have a son in high school.
Mhm.
If I'm not feeling good,
Mhm.
it's going to be hard. I've got to do all my daughter duties.
Yeah.
I've got to do all my mother duties. I've
Mhm.
got to do all my partner duties. There are a lot of things to be involved in. And when you are feeling good, you can bring your best to those things. And
Mhm.
there's no doubt about it. People often ask me, what are you doing? You're just so up and ready. And I'm not doing anything special except prioritizing sleep. That's a special thing. I prioritize sleep. I prioritize eating healthier more.
Okay.
These are things we all know what to eat. There's nobody out here who doesn't know what they should be doing
Mhm.
because we do know this, but we can do it more. And that is an intentional act. We've got to do that more. And when we communicate what matters, it helps us to deepen the connections that we have with people.
Mhm.
And that's another powerful part of what has happened during the pandemic is that we've become disconnected from people in so many ways, feeling very on the surface with people.
Mhm.
And it's something that I know people miss. And that was when I was missing it.
Mhm.
And that was another reason I said, I need to connect with people. Let me start this collective. And I
Mhm.
got women to join me and, just to connect because we want more interaction that's not about the weather, that's not about COVID, that's not about, What did you do yesterday? We want connections that are deeper. Have you
Mhm.
gone to an art exhibit? What did you think about it? How was it? You mind? Maybe we can go together next time. I mean, we want people to do things to talk to people about the things that are important to us.
Mhm. So connection is another healthy habit. Again, it
Yes,
doesn't have to just be nutrition. And I really like that. I also liked how you hinted at a different type of sandwich, that a lot of us here are in the middle of a caregiving sandwich. We have
that's right.
parents and we have children. And that's
Yes.
so then that means there are healthy habits for life seasons, for seasons of life.
Yes, I think that there are there are healthy habits that you can do from your 20s to your hundreds. You
Mhm.
know, one of those is dry skin brushing. I recently saw um, Gwyneth Paltrow on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon talking about, this package that she had to sell,
Mhm.
and it had a dry skin brush in it. I was
Mhm.
like, well, there you have it. I've arrived. I've been dry skin brushing since, the 90s.
Mhm.
And I learned this technique from a woman who owned a holistic health center on 125th Street. She's not there anymore. Her name was Daya. She was a beautiful, amazing woman. And she started me on this path of seasonal living.
Mhm.
She started me on this path. And I thank her because she looked beautiful. I don't
Mhm.
know how old she was. She probably was in her 70s, but she was amazing. She did a few things. She juiced, she fasted seasonally, and she accredited to dry skin brushing. I said, "Well, you know what? I'm doing those things. I'm doing them,
Yeah.
and I continue to do them, and I feel great." And I think that you got to find some way to get healthy habits into your life
Mhm.
because you'll feel better.
Do you have examples of ways that we can incorporate these seasonal healthy habits into our families? I mean, a lot of us, we think if we just do, they'll see us doing and
Mm.
and somehow it'll seep into them subconsciously. Or if we keep telling them, and that works, but it doesn't always work. Sometimes we have to be a little more proactive.
Well, I think one of the ways that I kind of do it, and I've been talking about doing this, is going shopping with the people in your family or your kids, or in before you go, hey, let's look at some recipes together,
Mhm.
and let's see, these are foods that are plentiful right now.
Mhm.
In the heart of winter, you've got your sweet potatoes, you've got your squash, you've got your dark kale, you've got all these things. Hey, what can we look at that has these recipes in it? Maybe we can try something new this week and make an experimental recipe this week. And just having that variety and conversation amongst the members of the family can get some buy-in to different seasonal living, because what you do in the winter, those vegetables aren't going to really be available in plenty come the spring and summer. You got your squashes and other vegetables that are available more plentifully in the summer.
Mhm. For
Summer
th-
squash, that is.
yeah, summer squash. For those of you who are thinking, okay, 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 but what about my kids? I want to share that they do listen.
Yes,
um,
they do.
they seem like they don't, and they roll their eyes. But I had a teen just recently go on a school trip and come back. And I think within his first hour home said, "Yeah, I need to eat some roughage. That trip, it was hard getting a balanced diet." And I cannot tell you how I am always saying, "What did you eat today?" And I was like, "Oh, he's hurt." Or another one come in who's less athletic than the others, our other sons, and say, "Oh, I played basketball with some friends today. That's how I move my body." And I was like, because this child does not like to move his body. So they hear
Well,
you.
job well done. That's all I'm saying. Job well done. Because I mean, there's so many easy things that we can teach. I mean, I've been just on the just dampening down of the stress of the day with breathing.
Mhm.
Belly breathing has been something that I've shared with my son over the years. Now it's a healthy habit. Son, just get some belly breathing in.
Okay.
That's one and drinking water. super important. Are you hydrated? These are things that we can model and we can also reinforce with our words. And of course, eating healthier food more. And kids pick up on this. Like you said, I mean, they know when they need to eat some vegetables if
Mhm.
that's something that's been prioritized in their diet
Mhm.
and moving their body. I mean,
Mhm.
those are about the 5 things that I can definitely say are healthy habits. And the one that I have also been talking about more is quiet time. Just time when there's nothing going on. Get 5 minutes, start with 1 minute and ladder up. You don't have your phone on, you're just sitting there. And just let your brain get a minute or two, a minute of rest, and then get back into your activity because quiet time is is important to reducing the chatter that's going on in there, which is a lot. That's a whole thing in and of itself.
You mentioned 5 healthy habits. Now, I've been taking notes as we're talking, as I'm
Mhm.
called to do, and I don't know if these are but why don't can you tell us the 5 ones? I have quiet time, belly breathing, connection, water, and exercise. Am I right or close?
Well, in my group, it's
Okay.
all about being a confident speaker. And
Okay.
confident speakers speak up about being healthy, communicating what matters, and connecting more deeply. And to be healthy, to really, start, being healthier, you got to do some breathing. It doesn't matter what technique you use. You may use straw breathing, you may use belly breathing, you may use box breathing. There are a lot of different techniques to bring down that heightened level of stress. And then you could drink more water is another tool. Eat healthier foods, that's another tool. And prioritizing rest is one that is not talked about as often as we need to implement. And the fifth healthy habit is moving your body. So those are the 5 kind of ways to be a little bit healthier. I have a free gift if anybody is interested in going to my website, confidentspeaker.co, and you can download those top 5 ways to be healthier because we do need to focus in on being as healthy as we can. As an example, for our the young people that we're making an impact on every day because we're not just making an impact on our kids. Everybody is watching. Every young person that you're around is paying really close attention to everything you do. It's a lot of pressure, but you can handle it.
Yeah. And also, even if you're not paying attention or you're um, not doing it for those who are watching, you will be different. When you feel better, you behave better, and then they will notice that. So there's also the ripple effect on in your
Well,
communication.
take sleep, for example. Sleep is one of those things where if we know how to prioritize sleep for everybody,
Mhm.
go to bed, you need more rest. When they're babies, we put them on schedules. They got the nap time, this time, that time, so they don't have a short fuse.
Mhm.
But when we need our rest, it manifests in the same way. We may not lay down and start screaming, but we'll be short with people.
Mhm.
We'll be, not not encompassing more compassion in our language.
Mhm.
It just shows up.
Mhm.
And that's why prioritizing sleep it has a serious ripple effect.
Mhm.
When you think ripple effect into the family and into your professional and personal life outside of that. When you don't have rest, it's going to show up in all of those places.
Absolutely. We have a comment here. Melissa says, quiet time stillness is so important. I need to remember this for myself. 5 minutes is doable. Thanks for the reminder.
You are welcome, Melissa. 5 minutes is doable. But if you find that it's not doable, shift down to 1 minute and ladder up. Because the ladder, sometimes we try to start too strong with stuff and
Yeah.
then we don't have success
Mhm.
and we stop.
Mhm.
So let's, give ourselves some compassion
Yeah.
and ladder up if we need to. Thanks, Melissa.
If you do 1 minute, Melissa, you did something, and you should be proud of yourself for doing that one thing, something, instead of saying, oh, I didn't do 5. Be proud of yourself for doing 1.
And I'll tell you, the latter helps us to feel successful.
Mhm.
You know, for example, if you say you're going to go run 4 miles and you're going to do 4 miles in a day, and then you're like, you know what? I don't feel like doing 4 miles. So you don't do anything.
Mhm.
Suppose you just say you're going to take a walk around the block and you'll just start with that.
Mhm.
Maybe you'll work up to that 4 miles, but
Mhm.
you'll feel successful a lot more because you'll have more time at making that walk around the block. Yes, it is. Happy Women's Day, Dee Dee.
I had to make sure we put that in there. Yep.
Yeah,
I just had that conversation with someone. I so enjoy that, because maybe you did do 4 miles on Tuesday, but on Wednesday or Thursday, all you can do is 1.5. You did something. That's what's important. You
it
did
is.
something. You moved your body. And too often we're hard on ourselves. I didn't do the 4, which leads us to quit because we don't think we're successful.
Yes, I want to say women are very hard on ourselves. And that's why, another tool that is helpful is just extending ourselves some grace,
Mhm.
extending ourselves some self compassion.
Mhm.
And, one of the ways to do that is just recognizing that you're not the only person. When you get into that loop, when you get into that over criticizing loop that you get into in your head,
Mhm.
oh, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, you should have been able to do this, should have been able to do that, should have been able to do this. You can stop yourself and say, you know what? I know there are a lot of people who weren't able to run today.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm part of a common humanity of people, and you're connected to others in that way.
Mhm.
And then just, it's okay. You can start tomorrow.
Mhm.
Say something kind to yourself that
Mhm.
you would say to a BFF. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You want to say something kind to yourself because you would never, you know, be so rough on someone else. We would never do that
Yeah.
unless we haven't slept. We would not do that. We would be loving in our conversation. Listen, you can start tomorrow. Or you can just do a little bit less today. It's okay.
Yeah.
Goodness, go easy. But that's not how we treat ourselves. And just giving ourselves that grace is a little bit better.
Yeah. And do that in front of your family. That's how you can model it. And then they will begin to do that for themselves and for others. So as you're working on yourself and giving yourself grace, and it's an inner monologue, try to vocalize it externally, intentionally in front of your kid, like, oh, I was down on myself for not doing, 4 miles. We're stuck on that example,
Right.
but I got out, and I should be happy that I got out because today was a really tough day for me. And
Yes.
then you're modeling. So these are ways that we're weaving it
Yes.
into families. I know we're talking about primary caregivers and specifically women in the household, but the more you do this, the more it's recognized, and the more you share with the members of your household, then they'll know
Yeah.
what you're doing, why you're doing, and how it appeals to them. And if you can, it's harder and harder with teens, but if you can, try to get them to do a couple of the things with you. Maybe not on schedule, because teens aren't going to meet you every Tuesday. Not unless
Yeah.
you can food. But if you can have them, if they ask you what you want for your birthday and you say, you know what, I'd really like a family bike trip. Can we just bike around the park or something like that? And then, put it in their minds.
I
We,
love that. That's a great idea. Because I think at the younger stage, we all were able to get that done.
yeah.
But as they get older, it is a little bit tougher to
Mhm.
because they've got schedules.
Yes.
They've got a lot of things going on their plate. So I think that's a great idea.
Well, we are coming to the end of our time together. But if there's only one thing that our audience members remember from this conversation, what should it be? Their one takeaway. We know they're going to remember everything.
Well, I don't know if they're going to remember everything, but I would say speak up and add healthy habits because health is not just the absence of illness. Health is so much more. Communicate what matters to you and make sure you're connecting deeply with everyone that's important to you. So speak
Thank
up and add healthy habits.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Connect deeply with everyone. Tomorrow we have another comment. Here we go. Melissa, thank you. This is really helpful, encouraging. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening and watching.
Thank you, Melissa.
Tomorrow, we have Jen and Sharon. They're going to be talking all things teen. They usually pick a topic, mothering. A lot of times it's something comical, but sometimes it's something real serious that, that everyone's talking about. They're like your two girlfriends having coffee after the morning rush is done. So please join us 10:30 a.m. again tomorrow on your Teen for Parents platforms. But tonight, we have something special tonight. This evening, we're launching our first session of the 2022 Destination College series. It is a 8-session series, once a week, very doable. They're about an hour each with a plethora of experts on all things college. We are having a grand raffle starting today. Everybody who is registered, whether you were registered before today or you register today, you will be eligible for this great prize. I wish, as most people who watch this regularly know, I have gone through this process this year and I wish I had this prize. Sylvan, I'm reading it because I want to make sure I get it right. The prize is a free SAT or ACT course from Sylvan Learning. That is up to a $1,200 value. And all you have to do to be entered into that raffle is to register for Destination College, which is our 8-session Destination College, all things college course. It's only $57. You register today, you'll be entered into the raffle. The raffle will occur on the last day of Destination College, so 8 weeks from today. We will announce the winner of that Sylvan package, and I'm really excited about that. That's a huge value.
Yes, it is.
It is a huge value. Tell your friends. The link is in the comment section. Share the link widely. The sessions are webinar format, so you can come and have your dinner in front of you. It starts at 7 p.m. Eastern time. You can be in your PJs if you want, or your workout clothes because you've just done yoga because you listened to Janice today. And listen to what our different experts have to say. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.